Okay, no, that was a terrible renditioning of a lovely old tune called "Great Dream from Heaven," which I've learnt from the playing of Joseph Spence and Ry Cooder. But just to show this little guitar, this came to me from a customer here in the UK. He bought it from the States, no name, no pack drill. He couldn't get on with the neck, so he found it too narrow and too thin. So I've put a new neck on it, reused the tuners. The box is a lovely looking box, sounds very nice as well, and the pickup works well. And it just goes to show that even if you don't get on with something with these cigar box guitars, you can swap them around. Here's the original neck. Um, it's a bit of a funny one because the flare on the top, I'll cover the the flare on the neck actually started down here on the first fret, which meant you couldn't really get your fingers back to play the first fret, which is a bit peculiar. And it's very thin that way as well. My neck's a lot thicker. It's a matter of personal preference. It wasn't helped by the fact that the action was the bridge was very low, because what was happening, the centre block on this is not set quite straight, so it kicked the neck up, and also you can't really tell from here, but if I actually put a steel rule on it, the sort of neck extension bit that goes inside the body, you can actually see it's wider here than it is here, so it's tilting up, so it made for rather high action and a very low bridge. So I've remedied that. That can be fixed. That can be fixed. That's not a big deal. So he'll probably take the original neck, put it into a new box, which is cool. He'll have another guitar, and like this, it was strung through the body with some little aluminium pop rivets, but they weren't very long, so they'd started distorting, and they're a bit of a fiddle to thread through a long body. So I've just put this little brass tailpiece on, taller bridge, 2-octave neck, and it seems to have turned out into a nice little guitar. Just a couple of just an observation. If you see the way this is, it's a bit difficult to see this. I've got this bit of a heel on here, so that where it's cut away under the box, there's still a substantial amount of wood left to give it some continuity for fixing it. Actually comes through to about here. On the original neck, I don't know if you can see this, it's cut very thin here, so this heel actually doesn't extend underneath the neck where it really ought to be to support the neck. So consequently, you can feel it bend. It's a nice stiff piece of wood, really nice stiff piece of oak, but it's been cut, so there's only a little bit, and it's only looks like a minor thing, but the saw cut where this has been cut off here actually comes through into here a good 1/8 of an inch further than it needs to, which has sort of weakened that. We've only got perhaps 1/4 of an inch of wood holding that. It's sort of okay, but a good hard knock might split that. But as I say, with these heels, if you are making it, my recommendation is this should come through so that there's always a continuity. Look for where the thinnest part of the wood is going to be. I don't know if I've got a neck to hand. Here's another one actually. This is a second American neck I've had out. You see, this is another one where there is no heel. It's just a continuous piece of wood, which is rather thin, but it's been cut at this point. So we've got very little thickness here, and in fact, it's sort of been, it's sort of been shaped here, but this is where it goes inside the box. This bit should have been out here to help that thickness, but it's gone very thin. If I just show, if I've got one of mine next to hand, here's one I made earlier in true Blue Peter style. You can see the cutout underneath the box, the tongue extending into the into the body, and you see it's got this little bit of heel to make up for the fact that we've cut out here. So I've had a thick enough piece of wood to be able to cut this. This is laminated, so it's nice and stiff. But if you haven't got the piece of wood that's thick enough to do this, glue a little bit on here, but make sure you go past where the cut is, where this weak point is. Also, you'll see this is going to be pretty thick because cigar box guitar necks tend to be parallel and narrow. I like to make them quite neat so that they fill the hand and it makes them stiff that way. That's my tip for the day. So a lot of people do seem to put heels on their cigar box guitars, but I don't think they fully understand why they're doing it. We're not fixing it like a conventional dovetail where the heel actually turns and comes down here and actually transfers the load through a right angle into a dovetail. It's just more like an ordinary electric guitar where there's a little bit of thickness. Ordinary electric guitar, you see, it just thickens out. Not much, but a significant, you know, it's about what? Not quite 1/4 of an inch, but it thickens out a little bit here. There's no cutout or anything where it's going in, but it relies on this bit to be fixed. And if you look, the fixings are about 2.5 inches apart. That's what gives it the stiffness. So you need that much at least to fix it. So don't create with your guitars. I would say try not to create a weak spot like that. Leave plenty of meat. And you know, if you are doing something from a single piece, be very careful, because that's weakening an awful amount. I could bend and probably break that. Not that it would get that in normal service. It's okay, just if it gets a knock. But I like things to be fairly stiff and substantial with the neck, so it's got a fair bit of sustain to it. That's got quite. This has got very nice tone acoustically, this box, and the pickup in is sounds very nice as well when it's plugged in. So I hope the owner likes the new neck, and then I hope he actually takes the original neck and makes another guitar out of it. I say, the cool thing about cigar box guitars, this isn't scrap. It just didn't like it, but we'll get another guitar out of it. We'll probably just ease this the flare on this past the nut, plug and re-drill these. You could put a veneer over the top of that, or put a fretboard on top. There's lots of things you could do there, and it's still workable. Okay, thank you for your kind attention. Apologies about the playing. I'll have to try and get that piece polished up properly. Bye for now.